Okay, so in saving our files, the biggest thing we want to do is actually save the Indesign file, which is just like saving our work. Real easy. Go up to File, go up to Save, and then choose where you want to save it. And I'm going to call this example. And a .indd file is actually an InDesign file, so leave that extension alone. Windows will need that extension. You may not see that extension depending on how your Windows is set up, but just type in a file name, click Save, just like you've done in Photoshop, and now you can see I have example.indd up here. So now it's saved. And I can always go back into this and make adjustments or do whatever else I want. Now there is a different kind of save, which I just want to touch on. We'll talk about Adobe PDF in 2 class periods, not next time, but the following time. There's export for digital editions, export for Dreamweaver. Now Dreamweaver is a website version, so not too worried about that. I want to do just a normal export. And what this gives me is a PDF or a bunch of different options. So why I want to bring this up is I want you guys to give me a JPEG of this as well. So I want you to send me the InDesign files that are packaged, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But I also want to see a JPEG. So I use this all the time in sending JPEGs to my clients or to somebody else to say, hey, this is what it's looking like. Tell me what you think. They can draw on it, do whatever they want, give me their feedback really quickly without having to, do a whole bunch of other extra steps. So, real easy. You just click Export. You drop down. You change the file type that you want to save it to. In our case, we want to save it as a JPEG. I click Save. I get a whole bunch of options. Do I want to save all the pages? Now, a JPEG, normally I'm only saving one page just because it doesn't support multiple pages. A PDF does, and that's why we'll talk about the PDF. And there's a bunch of advanced options in PDF. Either we're going to do a print version or low-res version, and we'll talk about all that in a later class period. This is mainly for one page, so I'm going to select one page and select just my one. I only have one page, so I'm just going to put one there. Quality, I'm going to usually do high, and everything else is the same. 72 pixels per line or pixels per inch is just fine. So I'm going to click Export, and that's going to give me a JPEG. So over here in my Windows Explorer, you can see now I have example, JPEG, and this is a temporary file. You may or may not see this depending on how your Windows folders are set up, but now I can see what that looks like. I don't know if you guys can see. So there's my JPEG. I can see what it looks like. I can send it to a friend, and they can tell me, hey, you have a lot of white space you need to fill in, or whatever their comments are. I don't like that color yellow, or whatever. I find that really useful. So we'll have you save like that for your homework as well. But one thing I do want to show you is actually this package button. So if you do File, Package, this little dialog box comes up. And you can tell a bunch of things. And what this is doing what's called preflighting. So without getting into too much detail, preflighting is making sure it's ready to go to press and making sure you're not going to have any problems when it goes to the press. Because the press is just going to do what it's going to make its best guess, and it may not be right. So if you're using RGB files, it's going to convert it automatically to Cmyk, and you might get a color shift that's really bad. And a color shift meaning something that was red is now purple because you're using a different color space. So throwing a lot at you there. Really, all we're looking for here is to make sure we have no errors. And so let's look at that. We have a bunch of different options on the left here, and we have kind of a summary here. So you can see I have 2 fonts used. I'm missing 0, which is good. If I was missing 1, I'd need to find it. You can embed fonts. Um, I prefer not to. You can have incomplete fonts where maybe you use a bold and you don't have a bold, so it may be an incomplete font. The other thing is fonts can be protected. So you may not be able to send a font. You may only have rights to a font. So understand that there are times when purchasing fonts, it becomes sticky if you're collecting things and sending it to a third party who didn't buy the font and stuff like that. So just be aware. Some fonts are protected, and you shouldn't just give out fonts if you, especially if you've paid for them. Then we have links, which are the images. So we have one link found. It hasn't been modified, which means I haven't, adjusted. If I made an adjustment, I haven't readjusted it, and it hasn't been updated in InDesign. So that's good. We want a 0 there. None are missing, so that's good. We don't have any embedded, which is because it's just a link. But we have this, and that's why we have this exclamation point, is we have one uses RGB color space. So what I would do before I package this is I'd actually go into Photoshop, convert this RGB to Cmyk, and then update it in InDesign so that everything's using RGB. Okay, so that's pretty much our summary. You can see we're not using spot colors. We don't have any plugins, anything like that going on. So we're pretty basic. Let's choose on our fonts. Click on our fonts on the left side. You can see the fonts that we're using. You can see if they're protected. So if you do have a problem in your font section, you can tell right away by clicking on your fonts which font is the problem. And you may just want to change the font. You may want to hit cancel and go back and edit it or do something so that it fixes it if you're not allowed to give that font away or whatever else. Same with links. It'll tell us what links are RGB or which are having a problem. And we only have one link, so it's the one having a problem. We can tell we're getting all Cmyk, which is great. Here's our print settings, and we don't have any plugins. So plugins are little software programs that may do something for us. Like a lot of times printers will have a plugin specifically for their printing press, and it'll convert everything perfectly to their printing press, stuff like that. So pretty much what you're looking for is fonts, links, and colors, just to make sure everything's good. And then what you're going to do is once you fix all your errors, you would package this. So I usually fill in this information because it creates a text file for me. I'm not going to right now, but if you are shipping this off to a printer, and this is probably something they'll handle at headquarters, but if you are shipping this off to a printer, it's important to give them a phone number, an email, and any instructions, specific instructions you want to give them. Most of the time, we're not handing it to a printer this way anymore, so we're handing them a PDF. But it's important to note this also helps collect things for you. So I'm going to click continue, and it's going to create a folder for me. So I'm going to create it inside what I'm calling session 6, and it's called example folder. So I'm going to go ahead and package it there. You choose wherever you want to package it. Maybe try your desktop for now. So I'm going to click on package, and it's going to give me a warning saying that fonts can be copyrighted. Make sure you have permission to use the fonts and give them away from the vendor. So I'm going to say OK. And you can see it starts collecting all this stuff and saving the document. And now if I go into my Windows Explorer and I go into, let's see here, session 6, I now have an example folder, and let's look in there. The example folder has my example InDesign. It has my links, which is my one photo, and it also has my fonts, which are these 2 fonts. So if you're using 72 fonts, all 72 fonts will be here. If you're using 15 links, all your 15 links will be here. Now the purpose of this is you can give this example folder away, and whoever has this folder has everything they need to make this print perfectly if they have InDesign CS4. And that's where really where PDF comes in, because then everybody doesn't need InDesign or Cmyk or any of these other programs or PageMaker or whatever you're using. They just need PDF. So that's really where PDF's won. Um, but what's nice about this is it's now collected everything for us. So if you had your links in all random places, it now collected it for us and put it in one folder. So that's kind of nice. Um, the only one confusing thing is you have an example InDesign document here, but the original InDesign document that's named example, which is here, and you can tell it's open, doesn't move. So now you have a duplicate, and that gets people all the time. So let's say I open this file in InDesign and I change it, and I put the cool title below here and then save it, and then I go back to this file, and let's say it's some later date, and I go and say, okay, this is the one I want. The title is supposed to be below, but my title's above it. So I have two separate files that are named the same thing. So this is kind of confusing. This is why we really don't use it as much anymore. But it's important to know that packaging your folder gets everything together, gets all your fonts together, and helps you hand it off. But what we're going to want you to do for this time is to send us a JPEG. And then we'll talk about Adobe PDFs, and we'll have you send us a PDF. So packaging is important. Pre-flighting, especially for before you're going to press, to make sure you don't have any RGB, make sure your fonts are all there and all that kind of stuff is important. So it's a little preview into pre-flighting / packaging, and kind of with Windows Explorer, and kind of knowing how it picks up all the links and does all that stuff for you. Alright, so saving your file and saving a JPEG and packaging. That's it for now.